needed to hear. Sorry. Amen. What's the
Really
smart
pissed
way to
me
protect
off,
your
man.
house? Is it wait till a burglar
I don't know what the hell is up with my internet. I even have a
smashes a
backup
window and
connection.
wanders around the living room, terrifying your kids? Or is it B, preventing bad people from breaking into your house in the first place? Well, obviously it's B, but most security companies don't seem to know this. They react to invaders after they've gotten into your house. No. Simply Safe does the opposite, the obvious. It stops criminals before they get inside. It's proactive, not reactive. Simply Safe's cameras spot threats, alert live agents who talk directly to intruders. Hey, you're on camera, get out now. They either bolt or the cops show up fast. There are no long-term contracts, no hidden fees. You can cancel it whenever you want. Named Best Home Security by U.S. News and World Report 5 years in a row, plus 60 days money-back guarantee. Simply Safe is simple. Takes minutes to set up, no tech wizardry needed. The app lets you monitor everything from anywhere. Cameras are crystal clear. The rapid response provides total peace of mind, especially when you're on the road. This month only, take 50% off any new system. This is one of the best prices you will ever see for Simply Safe. Don't miss it. Visit simplysafe.com/Tucker. Again, that's simplysafe.com/Tucker. Lock in your discount. There is no safe like Simply Safe. But what? Okay, so now I'm even more confused. I mean, I'm in Florida pretty regularly. I was not aware that the state of Florida is an investor in Israel.
State pension fund.
What? Why?
Well, don't take...
What does Florida have to do with Israel? It's so far
That's
away.
Right. So I actually
have a lot
was
of Jews
government
down
bond
south.
trader in a different life, which is to say 3
What's
or 4 years
crazy
ago.
is, and down in Fort Lauderdale, they have a New York Jew accent. And I dated a Jewish chick when I was 19, like a year. And it was crazy. All of her roommates were from Fort Lauderdale. They all sounded like Brooklyn, New York Jews. Farrah Kantrowitz, that was one of their names, this big fat girl. Oh my God. And it blew my mind. They were from further South Florida than me. They sounded like they were from New York.
Government bonds and interest rate futures and all of that stuff. And so what happened was, after the tragedy that was October 7th, that it unequivocally was a tragedy.
Yeah, of course.
Incredible. That's fucking bullshit. Huh. On here.
By a soon-to-be nuclear power in Iran, they say,
Yeah.
is escalating tensions with all of its neighbors. Just objectively, forget what country that is.
Of course.
And now you think it's a good time to compromise your fiduciary responsibility and buy their government debt? I mean, like, can you imagine someone saying,
That
like,
seems like a good long-term bet.
investment, right? Can you imagine someone saying, like, whoever they are, and saying, like, we just invaded Iraq in 2003. We should just stand with Iraq and buy their bonds. Like, forget who Saddam Hussein was. Like, why would it be a good idea to buy Iraqi government bonds?
I mean,
Right? And by the way, they
got a
don't
damn
offer
good point.
a terrible amount of interest. Actually, Israeli bonds often yield less than U.S. treasuries.
No way.
Yeah. So it's not like they were yielding 20% and they were actually an objectively good decision for our pensioners. No, it was a nakedly political position without any risk reward. It was all risk and no reward to appease the Israeli government and
Here's
donors.
what I understand. So the donors
fuck?
in Florida, so there are a lot of very rich, very active donors in Florida who support Israel also. Why don't they send their money? I don't understand. Like, if you're a billionaire, why are you pressuring some poor low IQ Florida politician to spend taxpayer money on a foreign country when you could just send your own money to the foreign country?
I actually think it is sadistic.
I think so too.
I think it's actually
sounds
symbolic.
sadistic to me, too.
Because you're right. a large hedge fund in Miami or Palm Beach.
There's
a lot of guys
It would be
that are just
nothing to buy $380 million of Israeli
Exactly.
bonds. They could have
Exactly.
leverage. I mean, nothing. It would be done in one day. But it's the symbolism
A lot of
of
blue-collar
solidarity.
guys.
And by the way,
It's fucked
the
up.
Florida state pension framework prohibits all foreign government bond purchases with one exception,
Oh wow.
Israel.
That's
Are you
So it is
serious?
literally prohibited in their investment
Dude.
framework that you cannot buy the bonds of any country, Luxembourg,
Oh, but
Switzerland, the
One,
UK,
except
and those
one.
actually may be good investments. But Israel, in their own words, to stand in solidarity with them after October 7th,
Man, these people
we decided to send $385 million. And that's why, as Florida governor, I'm going to divest that full 385 and then start a statewide, with that money, a statewide
this
down
guy
payment
wins.
assistance program. Because right now, you got young couples across the state who are renting. They're staring down the prospect of the 50-year mortgage. They can't feel like they have any equity in their
What's
future.
a 50-year mortgage?
Well,
Like,
that's-
that's the craziest thing I've ever
That's
heard.
the solution to the affordability crisis.
You just turn everyone into a renter?
Yeah. It's usury. It's just imposing usury on us.
Of course, I knew the answer to my own question, but it's just so grotesque. It's hard to believe that's
It is
real.
grotesque.
But I think this is the frustration, not with the president, but with a lot of his advisors.
They're battery farming us now.
There are real concerns about affordability in my state. And number one is home ownership, right?
Yeah.
If you can't buy a home, can you get married? If you can't get married, can you have kids? And if you can't have kids, then what on earth is the point, Tucker?
Exactly.
Right? And so I think the president instinctively recognizes that we have to solve this problem. But the solution isn't to go from 30 years of debt slavery to 50 years so you can save $100 a month. I mean, my dad and I did the math. And for the average home here in Florida, a 50-year mortgage would mean that if you paid $250,000 to the mortgage servicer, you would own precisely $18,000 of equity in your home. This is literally what was called out biblically, what we were warned
Yes, it
against.
was.
What's crazy is in the mid 90s, my parents bought a 2-bedroom house for 90 grand, and it was built in the 80s, you know, and it's worth like triple that now, but 90 grand, you know, and I mean, I think they had a 5% loan because in the 90s it was higher, but you know, it in a white neighborhood, a well-to-do neighborhood, and that's not the case really anymore. Not even close. Not even close. You couldn't even get a fixer-upper for that price. What? Cucked? What the fuck is going on? Why is this? What the fuck is going on?
All of this stuff happens because people don't know it's happening, and they're kind of lulled like cattle into a trance, don't you think?
That's right.
So, so the genocide guy is the one who came up with the hate speech law. Now, was he a member of Congress then?
States representatives.
Randy Fine.
Yeah, State House.
Have you talked to him?
Well, he called me the other day, actually.
The genocide guy called
Yeah,
you?
the genocide guy called me. He woke me up at like 7 a.m.
That's never a good day.
He was
when the
breathing
genocide guy calls and wakes you up.
Randy
He was
Fine,
breathing
that
rather
fat
heavily.
I bet he was.
And I think he was in a
Chewed
car. I
fucking
heard some
bubble gum.
Cheez-Its rumbling around in the back seat. I know that sound, Tucker. I know the difference between a Cheez-It and a Pringle. As a former addict.
Yeah, me too.
But gosh,
can't believe
so he
he's
calls
only
me and says, I
31,
hear you're
man.
running against
My little
Byron.
brother's 30.
And I
That's
said,
But that'd be Byron Donald.
That'd be Byron Donalds, yes.
Yep.
It goes with many names. We have H1 Byron, APAC Shakur. We can get into that later.
Pat Shakur.
I hear you're running against Byron Donalds. And I said, yeah, I'm thinking about it. I respect him. I said, I'm thinking about it, Congressman. And he said, well, you know, you should know that it's not very nice to Byron if you did that. I don't care what's nice to Byron, Congressman. I'm fighting
It's
for my
Florida,
state.
asshole.
My state is getting sold off in
Obviously,
pieces by the property
Randy
developers.
Fine doesn't
It's
give a
getting
shit
sold
about
off. What were
Florida.
once citrus groves and cattle ranches are now going to be Scam Altman's next AI data center. That's not what we stand for here in Florida. And so for 42
man,
minutes,
that
he
ain't
proceeds to
happening.
call me out. And I'm just listening. I'm brushing my teeth. I'm on mute. I'm just let him talk. But it was very clear, and this is before I had formally announced, but it was publicly talked about that I was seriously considering
think
running,
this is
that a
Fishback's
sitting member
first
of
legit
Congress in Washington, D.C. at the time
Interview.
was taking 42 minutes out of his day, not to talk to a constituent about one of their needs, but to intimidate
Discourage.
me into not
Do
challenging
you think
Byron
he was
Donalds.
trying to intimidate you?
I think so. It didn't work.
I mean, if he laughs at the murder of children, I guess I shouldn't be surprised, right?
Seriously.
Wow. Does he have power in the state?
Not really. He has power in the sense that he was the only Jewish Republican in Florida in the state House State Senate. He, of course, then when Mike Waltz got appointed to National Security Advisor and did such a brilliant job there, his seat was vacant. And then Randy Fine quickly moved into the district and decided to run for Congress after quite literally 2 months beforehand being elected to the state Senate after having served in the state House. And that's why I'm proud to support my friend Aaron Baker, who's now running against Randy Fine, primarying him.
Well, so Fine's not even from the district?
No, he's not. He's from Brevard County down in Melbourne.
How did he get the seat? How did he win?
A lot of strings. And of course, the president came in and endorsed him as well. But a lot of very powerful people pulled strings. And it's actually a very deep red district that he only ended up winning by 5 points, which just shows you how deeply detested he is by the people of Florida's 6th congressional district.
Well, yeah. I mean, members of Congress shouldn't endorse genocide or laugh at the murder of children.
No.
That's disqualifying.
Right. Quite literally starve away. When there was an image, this is July of 2025, an image of children starving. His answer was starve away. A sitting member.
I call the Speaker of the House. That happened, and I don't get involved in anything really, but I said, I don't know how you can have this guy in the Republican Party. I'm not going to vote for that. I would
Right.
never vote
Disgusting.
for a party that endorses killing kids. Why would I do that? I'm a human being.
But George Santos got some Botox.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
and he gets expelled. I mean, think about that for a second, right?
No, still starve away. That's
That's
everything that we
crazy,
have to be
man.
against.
Starve
That's right.
away.
And I think whichever side of that conflict, and I think most
Wow.
Americans, they resonate with the words of President Trump is
I
you
mean,
want
that
the
is
killing
so
to stop,
disgusting.
whether it's in Ukraine, Russia, Israel, it doesn't matter.
If I was a Jewish Israeli Zionist, I would still feel that way. You can't ever laugh at the death of children. And it's nothing to, it's totally disqualifying.
to the point where he was literally disavowed by AIPAC.
Yeah,
Wow.
Literally disavowed by
it takes a lot.
AIPAC, of all groups.
That's crazy.
Speaking of which, Miriam
But
Adelson
you
has
know,
already
they have-
announced that she's funding a war chest.
Just because they're disavowed by AIPAC doesn't mean he's their fucking pit bull. They always have somebody in their back pocket that they disavow publicly, but privately he's their attack dog. He does their dirty work.
Against me. Told that to NBC
What?
News last month. Yeah.
Against you?
Against me, called me out by name. We're monitoring. They did the meme, Tucker. We're literally monitoring the situation, is what was said. And Miss Adelson will be raising a war chest against Mr. Fishback.
Wow.
Miriam Adelson is spending against you.
Yes.
Fuck, man. Not good.
And she's backing
Byron,
Byron.
Oh, Jesus.
And that's why you call him Apak Shakur?
among other reasons.
So,
The
there's a
second
good
part of
chance-
it.
There's a good chance that Byron wins too, because Orlando, it always goes blue, always, and their representatives are blue. So, I mean, we'll see, I guess. Come on.
dollar is in trouble. It's getting weaker. It's sad, but we're not in charge of it. So we have to respond appropriately in ways to protect our families. When paper money dies, it's going to be replaced by programmable digital currency or gold. Gold survives. The same Americans who think they're protecting themselves with gold are the ones getting ripped off
Sometimes
by
I
big
wonder,
gold
it's
dealers.
like, if gold is so special, why are you selling it if it's going to be so special in the future? Or is this just a scam here? You know what I mean? Like, if it's going to be so necessary, then why the hell would you be letting it go?
After we left corporate media, we got offered tens of millions of dollars to promote gold companies. How'd they get the money to spend that much on marketing? Because they're scamming their customers. We didn't want anything to do with that. So we sought an honest broker, and together we formed a precious metals company that you can actually trust. It's called Battalion Metals. At battalionmetals.com, we publish actual spot prices. We're totally transparent about the VIG, what we take, and we treat everyone
Dollars in an uncontested
does have a
primary
bit of a
until 5
creepy
weeks ago
voice,
until I
though,
entered.
man.
And that was all to encourage him to make Florida better?
Apparently.
Think about that.
And his idea of making Florida better, in his own words, he
Florida,
wants to,
man.
quote, speed up the construction of AI data centers. His words.
Bro.
He said in a private
That's
meeting with
bullshit.
donors, I have a friend of mine who was there, and he said, what do you think about Fishback's proposal to ban Blackstone from buying single-family homes and forcing us to rent as opposed to own? And what Byron told the donor in that meeting is that Blackstone bailed the economy. They saved us in the financial crisis.
Bullshit.
They deserve to be able to buy those homes. That's capitalism. That was his
Fuck
response.
Capitalism, then,
And I
dude.
say, look, the goal here is we need to look out for our own people. When a family of four is getting outbid by $1,500 by a private equity firm that's taking Chinese money at the capital gains rate, as opposed to the
So
rate
they
that you
can
and I
rent
pay and
it.
everyone
Oh, I
else
know.
pays,
Half,
So they can
they pay
rent it
half
to
the
that
tax
they
we
pay
do.
half. Carried interest,
Fucking scum.
20%. And he thinks that because of what Blackstone did, which they didn't actually do,
And they made money
what Blackstone
off it, I'm sure. They didn't do
allegedly
it out
did
of
in 2008
altruism.
gives them cover to run roughshod over all of us and to take homes from under our feet. And this is not a hypothetical thing. This is happening right now in our
Byron
state.
said that?
Byron said that to a donor.
That's fucking
Because what I
crazy.
have said, executive order number 3, is that I would ban Blackstone, any private equity firm, any Airbnb speculator, and any foreign national from buying a single family home in this state of Florida.
I mean,
You don't get to have a right to our homes.
absolutely. You know, people are moving here. You know, we have, I wouldn't say we have a terrible housing shortage, but we do have one. And to be giving those away to a fucking business, go piss up a rope. That's bullshit. That's absolute bullshit.
If you or I were to go to Canada right now and buy a single family home, we would legally be prohibited from doing so. Because say what you want about Trudeau or Carney, I guess they got the memo
They're
that
actually nationalists.
Canada is for Canadians. America's for Americans. And I don't think it's okay that a Chinese national or Russian national or an Israeli national can come here and outbid a family that's known this state for 2-3 generations
Yeah.
and say, you know what, that home that you wanted to buy to get married to your wife and to have 3 kids, that's not available anymore because a foreign national wants to vacation here for 5 weeks out of the year.
Dude.
Man, you're spinning me up. Getting mad just hearing this. What kind of reaction
I'm
do
one
you
of
get
those
when you
third
say that?
generation people. Like I
Very
said,
positive.
I went to the same.
I'll tell you
same
one-
high school
Yeah,
as my
I bet
parents.
you do.
Well, I get a
grew
very
up
positive
a
reaction because I
mile
think,
from where my
and you've pointed
parents
this out,
both
I
grew
loved
up.
your speech at AmFest
Across the
because
street
you
from each other.
recognized that America First is not owned exclusively by any party.
Of course not.
In fact, if you went out and polled that very question, that framework that you put out, which is the American government should exclusively look out for the interests of its citizens, 90% of not just Republicans, of literally everyone would agree with that statement.
Yes.
And so what I was amazed by is we had a meet and greet in Tampa Bay this past weekend, and we had 50 or so people RSVP'd. Over 200 showed up, and a dozen on their way out said, I wasn't even a Republican. I'm an independent. I'm a Democrat. I am changing my party affiliation so I can vote for you in the primary. Because just like South Carolina, I know you had Paul on recently, just like South Carolina, Florida is a red state. The next governor, mathematically, will be a Republican. Trump won the state by 13, Ron DeSantis by 19. The next governor is going to be a Republican. The question is, what kind of Republican, Tucker?
Exactly. Is it
Yeah,
gonna
I
be
mean, if
Byron
it's the
Donalds,
Republican who
or is
laughs
it-
at
is it
dead
gonna be
children,
an
I'm not voting Republican.
America First?
I'm not going to ever vote for anyone like that. Anyone
Guy's
who's
31
pro-death,
too. I like that.
who's against human dignity, for hate speech laws, who
think that's a
doesn't
good
think
thing.
that providing the next generation a chance to get married and have kids and own a home. If you're not on board with that, then I have nothing in common with you.
Yeah.
I don't care what you call yourself.
That's right. And I think this idea of the party labels has become a hall of mirrors,
That's for sure.
right? What you see isn't what you get. I mean, by the way, Byron Donalds, as of right now, still endorses Randy Fine's re-election bid,
What the
despite that starve
Come
away comment.
on.
That's
And they
fucked
tried
up,
to
man.
cancel you for having a conversation with a certain someone. He's literally endorsing a member of Congress,
A certain
who told
someone,
innocent
I love
children
it.
who were literally starving
Mr.
on video
Fuentes.
to starve away. That tells you everything you need to know about my opponent, Byron Donalds.
Yeah.
What I know Byron, and I've always gotten along with him. He's
seems like a good
super
dude.
cheerful. I didn't realize is he ideological? I've never detected that.
No. That's why I call him a slave.
Yeah. And they called you a racist for that?
They did. Which is actually quite interesting because I got a call from the Foundational Black American Society here in Florida who reminded me that Byron's mother is Jamaican, he is Panamanian, and they found it quite insulting in their words that he would try to claim victimhood of slavery.
Wow. How about that? How about that? Isn't that some fucking richness? Those people have a right to this nation, like I do, or like I feel I do. I agree. I made this statement the other day, watching Aleel or whatever. He's a gay black guy that does a YouTube.
Speaking on behalf of
And I
black.
mentioned this. I was saying that, when I hear, like, I remember when I was a kid going to elementary school, I had a black teacher in second and fourth grade. And I remember both of them saying, if you don't like America, you can leave. These people were Americans, man. And, grew up in the 60s, that old chestnut. And anyway, I've always felt like Black Americans, they're the only other group that we know for sure are Americans. That we know for sure that they won't. There's no way they're going to like pull sabotage during a war or something. They are Americans. God damn it, motherfucker!
But it's like, shut up, honey. You've got nothing to do with this.
Right.
That's
Literally.
a fair perspective,
Right.
I think.
And so it's good to actually see them call them out for that. That's actually cultural appropriation. Appropriating the struggle of slavery.
I totally agree.
And the struggle of slavery was real.
But yeah, hearing like my teachers say that, I really connected with that. Like, they got no other country either. Like if we fail here, we're screwed. We're screwed. We got no place else to go. These other people coming from other countries, they're just gonna leave. They're just gonna take their ball and go home. Anybody who doesn't realize that is a fool. They're gonna suck the life out of our country like vampires, and then when it collapses, they're just gonna fucking go home, and we're gonna be stuck here. And black people, they're in the boat with us. They're in the boat with us, and they're comrades. They're comrades. They've been here as long as any of us, and they've shed their blood on battlefields. And they're willing to fight for this nation. I mean, they're the one other key or demographic group that I actually see as like our one teammate that we can trust, that is in this to the bitter end with us. And I think that's special. And I actually mentioned, I just wanted to make sure, like, if there was any of them listening, like, yo, you guys do realize that, out of every other type of American, you guys are like, we have an intertwined destiny as far as I'm concerned. If we fail, the white population, they fail. I mean, and it's really that simple. And I mean, I just like that we understand each other. We know how to live with each other. We have an understanding, and it's a beautiful thing.
Republicans ever want to really whitewash that. It's real, right? But for
We're
Byron,
against slavery.
we're against it.
Whether it's in the West Bank or here or anywhere.
Or anywhere.
Yeah, against it.
And so
Yeah.
for Byron's group, his team, to call me and essentially our entire supporting base racists for saying that you're a slave when quite literally you took $45 million. You won't tell us what you agreed to take that money this early in a primary, which is
True.
unprecedented. You know this.
You're right about that. That they have Africa, but dude, the Africans hate them. They absolutely hate them. And not only that, I can tell an African American from any other black person from any other country. African Americans, black Americans, they have a distinctive look. They don't look like Nigerians. They don't look like Haitians. Not even close. Haitians are weird. But, you know, I can see them. I can spot them. I know when somebody is a black American. And like living in Florida, you know, there are parts of Florida where their little black enclaves, those are slave quarters. That those people, they've been there since their family was released as slaves. Like Apopka, yeah, you know, that's a straight up that's a little slave city that they just have never moved, you know, and they're fine there. And also Eatonville in Central Florida, that's the oldest black municipality in the country. It was the first black city in the entire country. Kind of interesting.
Unprecedented that kind of money is in an uncontested primary until now. But secondarily, to actually go out and try to gaslight us and think that you're just one of those guys that has been here, you know, since the early 1800s and your family was in the struggle too, you're not. And that's a very interesting term that the foundational black Americans use. It's called tether. They're tethering these tethers like Byron Donalds. They come here literally one generation in, and they try to just sit around and act so folksy that we're all part of the same struggle and we're all down on our, and we need to fight against. No, you just got here, dude. Like the Haitians, like the guys from Ghana who just got here. You don't get to just be a part of our system and then lecture us about how our country went wrong.
Well, and if you're a Republican, supposedly conservative Republican, to throw around the term racist, I mean, that's what I personally, I'll speak for myself, I voted against that in November last year. Right. I don't like that style of non-argument. Just dismiss someone off the top. You're a bad person. I don't have to respond to your specific charge against me. I'm too old for that. Yeah. I thought aren't we opposed to that, identity politics?
They also have many countries in the Caribbean. But those are the two places that they actually have on the planet. Is they have like, I think there's 52 countries. There's quite a few in the Caribbean. They're all shitholes. As well as every country in Africa. Oh, motherfucker.
100%.
Keep doing
And I'll tell you, the identity politics of the right is probably the greatest it's ever been, but it's actually codified into law, which is the scariest part.
I've noticed that.
Right? You know, say what you want, but left-wing identity politics never criminalized being a racist to a black person. In that sense, like there was never a hate speech law against, which would have been unjust, to call out a black person or black culture or anything like that. I think that's deplorable to single out any, as a Christian, I would, of course, condemn that.
Oh, of course.
But it's interesting that there's only a hate speech law for one particular foreign nation as opposed to anything. I'm against them entirely because they're blatantly unconstitutional. They violate the First Amendment.
Of course.
But it's interesting. The $385 million. So how is it anti-Semitic to bring back money, our money that was foolishly sent over?
To not buy sovereign bonds? Like what?
To not
which actually have a subpar return given the geopolitical risk premium on offer in Israel right now, if we're going to be completely honest. Right?
What? They actually said that to you?
They actually said that. And I just challenged the entire
buy our bonds or you're a Nazi? That's kind of the trade?
Or you're a Nazi. And by the way, think about this, Tucker.
This is so bonkers, I can't.
What's actually because this $385 million statewide down payment assistance program, this would, of course, go to any Florida resident who is young and married. So the ironic thing is that actually opposing it, if anything, would be anti-Semitic because they're going to be young Jewish couples,
of course,
who are ready to buy a home, start a family, and live out the American dream here in the Sunshine State. And so it's amazing that we've gotten to this point of debate and discourse in America where the ad hominem attack precludes the debate from even happening. Look, you want to have an honest, earnest debate about buying Israeli bonds? Fine. I welcome that debate. But don't sit here and call American citizens anti-Semitic for opposing $300 million being shipped overseas to fund some stupid war.
I totally agree.
Israel, they need
and it is kind of crazy if you think about it. I've got nothing against Miriam Adelson personally. I know her. But I mean, she's an Israeli. And Donald Trump said in his remarks on television in the Knesset, to her, you care about Israel more than the United States, which is her right. But how is she a huge player in my country, not her country, my country's politics? Like, how is that allowed?
Dude.
If there was some Chinese guy, and he was pretty open about caring a lot more about the CCP than he cares about the United States, it would not be cool to take money from him. And that person would not be allowed to get on TV and be like, I don't like what you're saying about my actual country, therefore I'm going to drown you in gambling money.
From China.
Yeah.
From Macau, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, can you imagine, like, the equivalent?
What is going on?
Right.
Why do we think this is normal? Talk about foreign interference in our elections.
Yeah.
But it's a two-tiered system of foreign interference. Because remember Jack Ma from Alibaba?
Very well.
Right? Can you imagine if Jack Ma was running around telling NBC News he was going to fund political candidates?
Well, exactly.
How outraged.
Like,
He would
it's
literally get
incredible
investigated by the
that
DOJ on some made-up money laundering charge.
Yes, that is right.
Moved some comma the wrong way and it's suddenly wire fraud under the Commerce Clause, right? But think about it. Can you imagine how repulsed we would all rightly be if Jack Ma or some
Kinda reminds me
Ukrainian or
of Jeff
Russian
Goldblum.
oligarch
No, it's so
was
true.
openly, flagrantly being involved in
Like
U.S.
literally
politics?
Jurassic Park, fucking Ian Malcolm, bro.
It's totally bonkers.
God, as fuck. White
So
ass
when
thing
you
going
call,
on
has
as fuck.
Byron taken money from APAC?
Yes,
So that's why APAC, Shakur.
yes.
I just like
I'm
saying
only
that.
factual with these things.
Because it's very funny.
It
Did
is
that go
funny,
over well?
Apex Shakur, that's
It went over
great.
very well. It went over very well. And people like it.
Very well.
I think people want,
Very well.
I don't try to take myself too seriously. And, I think
We're not allowed
wonder
to.
we're
if
not
he's
allowed
Italian
to.
or something.
Gen Z was
A little
such an
bit
important
swarthy.
part of the president's victory last year.
Yes.
And they feel betrayed by a lot of these Trump advisors and what they've chosen to
Fucking A,
prioritize
man.
and not.
I can
They,
see why.
they've straight up betrayed
And
us.
when I've met them,
Absolutely.
and I've met them where they are at their universities, whether it's UF a couple weeks ago, I'll be at FSU in just a couple
UCF.
weeks from now.
USF.
Their number one frustration is that, look, they don't want to be lectured anymore. They got a degree.
And it's not
They
worth
got
shit
good
anymore.
grades. They got good test scores. They didn't study gender studies or black intersectionality. They did the STEM thing that Republicans told them to do.
Yeah, learn to code.
Learn to code.
And now they're like, yeah.
And now
we're
they
giving it
say,
to
you know
AI
what?
and Indians, so
Amazon,
go fuck
Google,
yourself.
FedEx. No, those jobs aren't available for you, you pesky Americans. You want paid time off. You want to go to church on Sunday. We're going to give those jobs to an entire new class of foreign serfs known as the Indians and the Chinese. And we're not going to even interview you for those positions. They don't even pretend that the Chinese or the Indians are smarter. They're not. They don't speak our language.
No.
They have no skin in
They're
the
not
game.
smarter, actually.
They're not at all.
Oh, I know.
And so the issue then becomes, do we actually have a labor market that is utterly rigged against American citizens? The answer is yes. And you know that by virtue of the H-1B program. These tech companies, it's not as if they've stopped hiring. Generally, they've stopped hiring Americans because they can bring in all this cheap foreign labor.
Yeah.
My belief is that
I don't know if you guys ever watched South Park, but I remember years ago when, like their 10th season, when they did that, they took our jobs, the Goobacks, these people coming from the future taking jobs and stuff. And, I hope that they feel appropriately ashamed of themselves because they were making light of our fucking replacement. Like, really and truly, they just basically made anybody who said, they're taking our jobs out to be stupid rednecks, stupid hillbillies, this, that, and the third. And meanwhile, one of them's Jewish, and they're just, they get to make fun of us, laugh at us. Stupid Americans want to have jobs, and they still have a show. They still mock shit like that. It's like, dude, this is people's fucking lives, man. Like, what the fuck are you doing, bro? Like, people need jobs. If they don't have jobs, they can't have a family. They can't have kids. We die.
a market-based wage is always going to attract the best labor.
I agree with that.
100%.
Well, that's the promise of the market, right?
It is. And someone like Ben Shapiro to come out at AmFest in one of the side panels and he said, I want white men to stop complaining and get off the couch
Go fuck
because there
yourself,
are
man.
jobs that are available. No. Here's the truth, Ben.
Yeah, landscape.
When you
jobs,
say that, you say,
scumbag.
the Americans won't work these jobs. No, Ben Shapiro, they won't work these jobs at the slave sub-market wages that you are offering them. You offer someone here in my state an
Exactly.
honest wage for an honest day's work, they'll take that every single time and they'll show up, but they'll take off on Sunday to praise our Christian Lord.
It's funny to see, I never mentioned Ben Shapiro because I don't think about him very often, but on those moments where you see what somebody really thinks, just kind of, if you talk long enough, you reveal what you really think. It's always been my view. Ben Shapiro's total disdain and loathing for white Christian men is every bit as real, every bit as bristling with hostility as any kind of college Democratic Socialist of America leftist.
Truly.
Yes.
It's exactly the same. It's just like he just hates them.
He hates them.
Why?
He wants to see us perish.
So it's probably because, I mean, there's a lot of reasons, but I think that entire class of people doesn't have a real solution and in fact has profited on the demise of all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not.
There's a reason why they keep jumping in and saying, you need to just, graduate high school, get a job, get married, have kids, and shut the fuck up, mind your own business. Because they're making money on the status quo. Things are good for them right now. They're good. They're doing well. They don't want things to change because that will fuck up their bottom line. So when people are talking about real change, you see these motherfuckers come out of the darkness like cockroaches. Ben Shapiro, Mark Levin, all these people coming out of the... No, things are perfect. You just haven't been trying hard enough. You just haven't been... You haven't gotten off the couch. They will gaslight the shit out of us to keep things from changing. Because... And you can see the people that are making money off of it. Obviously, Ben Shapiro is making money off of the situation right now. Because he desperately doesn't want it to change. He wants it just to keep right on chugging along. It's like, the free market, it's a good thing until you're being replaced because there's, it's a global world and they can just ship in serfs, and all of a sudden it's like, I'm not for the free market to that extent. I'm for the free market to the extent that it brings prosperity, but not to the extent that it robs me of a fucking homeland. God damn it. God damn it.
You in good-spirited debate is if we are saying that we're principled conservatives, then it begs the question, from where do we draw these principles?
Exactly.
Right? Is it from the American Enterprise Institute? Is it from Ronna McDaniel's handbook on conservative principles? Or is it from our Christian Bible?
Yeah.
Is it from our Constitution, our Declaration of Independence, the Federalist Papers? And I think this idea of the free market, I think the free market is a great place to get to the destination, but the destination is not a free market. Tucker, we don't get to stay here and say, well, our people are suffering and they're unemployed and they're addicted to fentanyl and they can't have kids and they can't own a home and there's 50 years of usury. But you know what? We got a free market. And we have the freest market in the world. We have the freest market in the world. No, if the goal was a free market, Tucker, there'd be a slave auction happening outside right now.
Of course.
There's supply, there's demand, there's an equilibrium. My view in the America First movement is our North Star should not be a free market, but a free people.
Yeah.
And when I say free people, I mean American citizens. I don't mean the H-1Bs. I don't mean the Haitians on TPS. And I sure as heck don't mean any corporation that wants to come here and plant a flag and say that our goal is to boost profit margins and stock price.
And
all of a sudden, all that matters is not whether you can raise a family or buy a home, but the GDP beat expectations on your Bloomberg terminal.
That's exactly.
These sons of bitches. It's they have these politicians, these people in charge. They have like hitched their shit to the line going up. That's what they're concerned about, the line going up, and that's what they've been saying for years is, as long as profits are up and as long as we got to keep that profit margin up, and they've been saying that since the 90s. Things are just going to keep getting better, and it's like, dude, it's been 30 years, things haven't gotten better. Fuck you and your free market bullshit. because it hasn't worked. It hasn't worked. They shipped our jobs away, and they just been gaslighting us and fucking us ever since. And they think they're gonna keep they're gonna keep doing this, and it's like, no, man.
That's exactly right. How did you? Can I say something? Because I know to the extent this will be seen and criticized, I'm sure people will say, but this guy was in a sex scandal and you didn't mention it. I'm not asking you to respond to this. I just want to tell you my reasoning on it. So the second you were deemed a threat, they sent people out and tried to call you a sex criminal. You've not been charged with any sex crime that I know of. And if you're a sex criminal, I hope you go to jail. And if you're not, I hope they stop saying it. But a lot of the people who are pushing that have no basis. I don't want to, attack anyone in particular, but it's pretty unbelievable that some of the people pushing that would accuse somebody else of having an unorthodox sex life. I think it's shocking, actually, given what I know. So I hope they'll stop doing that because they have no basis for doing that. And that's why I'm not bringing it up. So I just want to say that.
Well, thank you, Tucker.
Sorry, it makes me mad. Well, that level of hypocrisy is too much. That's Pharisee level hypocrisy. Can't have that.
It is. And, the truth is that unlike a certain someone who deleted social media recently because he couldn't take the heat, I recognize that my entire life is going to be blown open, that there was a guy taking pictures of me outside of my house the other day, people taking videos of me at a bar. It's going to happen, and I welcome it. I welcome that. I think if you're going to run the third largest state, you're going to control the life of effectively 23.5 million people here in Florida. You should have to be an open book. But on that particular point, if you'll allow me just to address it.
Of course.
Nowadays, false accusations against men are all too common.
Yeah.
Those accusations were brought before a judge in Florida's Second Judicial Circuit, and after 2 lengthy hearings, I was fully exonerated. So don't take my word for it. There was 7 hours of hearing time, evidence, all of that, and a judge said, you know what? Not credible, no evidence to support it. Mr. Fishback, I apologize effectively, and you're exonerated. And so
when somebody's, that's the point of a criminal justice system. When somebody is exonerated, they're exonerated. You can't fucking claim that anymore. Like he went to court over it, and they let him, like, hey, sorry, our bad, our mistake.
I think the silver lining to this particular attack against me is that it's already gone through due process. And the fact that it's coming out now, I think, shows that our campaign, our vision is a real threat to the deep establishment.
It's a bit much. Mm-hmm. All of our views have changed over the last few years. Wow. I do believe he started a debate program in Florida too, and for high schoolers. Pretty cool. Uh-huh. Yeah. There you go. Mm. don't know if I would say hollowed out, man. I don't see any hollowed out places. Every t- every time I leave my house and go more than 2 miles away, like last night, I went to Culver's. Dude, and I grew up in this area, my entire life, and I didn't recognize it. Like, what the fuck? That's how. I mean, there's a lot of building going on. Oh shit. I don't understand why the fuck this shit keeps freezing.
Economic policy framework around that question.
And I do.
Right? And so if the question is, will we build this AI data center? I don't know. Does it help 30-year-old men get married or buy their home? The answer would obviously be no, because it employs 50 people who are all foreign laborers for the most part. That doesn't help. But if we're going to revitalize citrus here in Florida, if we're going to actually build out local businesses and help people get on their feet and create local great paying jobs and end the H-1B scam and ban Blackstone, if we focus on those economic policies with the end goal being 30-year-old men are more likely on the margin to buy a home and get married as a result of this policy, then sign me up.
Yes.
And so my
If
distortion
that
was, look, I
happens,
spent
our birth rate will come back. We will be back in business. They just need to start giving us jobs that, provide us a decent living. They just need to let us pursue happiness, because they've been robbing us of for years now. And if they would just get their jackboot off of our windpipe, our fucking trachea, we could, bounce back. But they've made it impossible. They will not give white men jobs. Like, the only jobs that are available to us here in Florida are like, you have to work for another white guy with a small business. Basically. I mean, other than that, you're not getting hired by corporations, period. That's not happening. Like, my mom worked in a office for 30 years down here, and I would go in, and see her, once, a few times a year. I saw her fucking her workplace go from like half men, her bosses were men, and over the course of like 10 years, totally flipped. They just squeezed all the fucking white men out. Squeezed them all out. It was all white women after that. And beta cuck white men that aren't bosses. It's disgusting.
my 20s going to events by the Brookings Institution
Yeah.
and AEI and Heritage and learning about the economy through that vantage point. And so guilty as charged. I think my views really, I voted for Trump proudly in 2016. I've always been a Republican for whatever that's worth, quite literally since high school when I registered to vote in junior year of high school. Didn't vote junior year of high school. I don't want anyone to think I'm committing voter fraud. But
You're not the only one.
But my views, I think, if I were to give one reason, I think X, and everyone talks about X, but I want to talk about it in a very specific way to my life. I think it's hard to watch something and get really red-pilled or nationalist-pilled. I think you have to have a steady stream of objective, factual information.
Yeah.
For me and my grandma, that was your monologues in 2020, quite literally,
Thanks.
and we bonded over those. For me, the last year or so, it's been following AF Post, this X account that just puts out 30, 40 posts a day. Kind of punchy, kind of funny, but really factually grounded news about what's happening, whether it's a company announcing H-1B hires. And they editorialize in the sense that if Amazon announces that they're laying off 30,000 people, they won't just print that headline like the Wall Street Journal editorial board will, those globalist shills. They will print that headline, but also contextualize it by saying that Amazon also just brought on 10,000 H-1Bs. So they have no issue firing our people, but they will bring on foreign labor and not apologize for it. And so when accounts like AF Post actually give us the full context around something, which the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal would never do, I really appreciate it.
fuck, man. Really though? What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Which tells you everything about the world of high school debate and
Yes.
academia. But it's really personal to me because high school debate changed my life, and it always was a marketplace of ideas until this guy named Trump came down the escalator. One judge said, if we're debating immigration and you refer to them as illegal, I will end the debate, give you the loss, and lecture you because I will not have you making the debate space unsafe.
What the fuck, man?
And so, I cold called Barry Weiss, because I knew the Free Press was kind of in this business of publishing edgy pieces about how institutions had been hijacked. And this was in 2023. And I said, hey, I have this crazy story. I'm a former high school debate champion. I have this crazy story about how high school debate has gone woke and my solution to it, which is my nonprofit. And she published it and it went bonkers. And so I think people are looking at that and saying, well, you're aligned with Barry Weiss. And I think to their credit to that thing, I did put out a post when her book came out about anti-Semitism, because after October 7th, I think like a lot of people, I saw what was happening on college campuses and said, that's wrong. Not because it was exclusively focused on Jewish students, but any black lesbian with red hair running into a math class saying like free Palestine and white men need to apologize for the alleged sins of their ancestors. That's wrong. I guess I was led to believe that that was all part of this anti-Semitism thing. I called it out thinking it was anti-Semitism, but really it was anti-Americanism. Right. It was anti-Christianism.
Well, that's for sure.
And my views on Israel changed for two reasons. I was invited on one of these paid trips to Israel as a young business professional, and I very quickly found out what it was. It was a propaganda trip, and when I was told that I couldn't go certain places on my own or had to follow a very simple script. When I left about what I would be, I'd have to clear my experiences to share them online. Yeah. And I said, I'm not doing that. I'm happy to go to a foreign country, but I'm not doing it on your dime and have to parrot out some script that was approved by AIPAC. That was the first straw where I kind of became a little bit more skeptical. But there was this young man named Mohammed Ibrahim. He's a 16-year-old kid from right here in Florida. And he went to visit family in the West Bank last February. And he was accused, without any evidence, of throwing a rock at an IDF vehicle. Didn't hurt anybody, but he was accused of it. So as a result of that accusation, he was put in an Israeli military prison without any due process, no trial, for 8 months. He lost 27 pounds and contracted scabies. Wow. And I committed the capital crime.
Wait. Is he an American citizen?
Yes.
That's
how can a proxy state that we pay for
be
imprison an American citizen without due process for 8 months?
What the fuck?
It's a great question. And, to the folks on the other side, I would say, I'm going to hold Israel to the same standard you want me to hold Israel to. That you say they're the only democracy in the Middle East. Well, democracies are underpinned by a basic adherence to the rule of law. And you don't get to take anyone, but least of all our citizens, and who are teenagers, and imprison them for 8 months. And then Randy Fine, that was half of the point of his call, was to call me anti-Semitic. He said, well, you didn't tweet about the hostages enough. And I said, Randy, what would have been the correct number of tweets on the hostages that would have given me license to talk about this young American citizen? But because he's a Muslim, to them, he is a second-class citizen. I said, look, I don't care what he is. He's an American citizen. He grew up 2.5 hours from where I did. I went and met with the family, and I put out a video that I actually texted the president directly, and I said, we have to do something about this.
Yeah, one of the principles I'll never give up is you shouldn't be allowed to come here and import your disgusting little ethnic conflicts into my country and make them the focus of my foreign policy. And I would say that to any immigrant, Cuba, Venezuela, Israel, doesn't matter. You may have had a 1,000-year war with some other tribe, but that's not our problem, and we don't do that here.
Yeah, and this isn't the place for it.
And I think the Muslim, hate Muslim, that's
within
what that's about.
Right. Exactly. And my dad showed me a video while we were on the way over here of a black pastor who I think rightly focused on the one nation under God in our Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah.
And you think about that for a moment. If you come here and to truly pledge your allegiance to our flag, it means you are committing to the one singular nation.
Of course.
Not to import a generational, multi-generational feud between different nations. So when you come here, whether you're Jewish, Muslim, it doesn't matter, and you say and you stand for that pledge, and it's sad that we don't do that in our schools anymore. I'll change that as governor as well.
Crazy
that it is a basic precondition that if you go to a public school, that you do attest that we are one nation under God. That's not really debatable. And so I think it's important because if you've got the Haitians and the Dominicans hate each other for some reason, there's a feud going on with different Muslim groups and this and all of that. And I say, look, if you're going to come here, at a minimum, you have to commit to the whole one nation thing.
Yes.
At an absolute minimum. And I can't think of a better way. And maybe that's why there's this insistence, this reluctance. They're so loath to actually stand for our pledge. I always thought of it, Tucker, as they were trying to be righteous, and it was kind of like their version of bending the knee.
No.
Right? They actually don't believe in what the pledge stands
at all.
for.
At all.
It's not like, well, we don't want to be compelled into something, or we don't believe in chauvinism or whatever. It is quite literally, they don't adhere to what the pledge represents. Principally, one nation. And I don't care what that nation you came from is. When you come here and you stand for that pledge, you must adhere to that principle, whether that nation you left was Israel,
You don't get to
Qatar,
serve in a foreign military. You don't get to have dual citizenship.
No.
You don't get to advocate for another country's interests over ours. Like, these are not crazy ideas. These are like any nation would enforce those ideas, right?
And become a citizen or even live here. They have to want to be Americans, and they have to have their allegiance has to be with us. This isn't just a fucking economic zone that you can, I'm an Israeli or I'm a Somali, but I'm gonna go spend my fucking summers in America, or and they do that here in Florida, or they did. I worked for a landscaping company that brought Mexicans from Mexico just for the summer, and they stayed like 4 to a bedroom, and the company bought houses to. I mean, it was crazy, but you shouldn't be allowed to be here if you're in the tank for another country. If you're Mexican, you need to make your living in Mexico, because we only have so much to go around here. We only have so much prosperity. Only have so much. The pie is only so big, and we have just enough for our own people, and that's it. We don't have any extra, although we've been giving away most of our booty, most of our blood and treasure for the last 80 years. We've just been giving it away instead of investing in our own country. We've been propping up the rest of the world. I mean, it's like I was thinking about this the other day. Can you even imagine where we would be at as a country if we hadn't given any foreign aid, if we hadn't spent any money on any other country but America? It would look vastly different. Vastly different. I knew he looked swarthy. What in the fuck?
So can you win?
It goes pretty hard.
Pardon my ignorance. I mean, Florida politics is so corrupt that I just try and stay far away from it. But what do you think?
I think so. I really do. So I think I probably shouldn't share inside baseball, but let me do that. I think what has to happen very simply is I'm not going to outraise him. I'm not going to outspend him. But you know what?
He's going to outpolitic.
Neither did Trump to Kamala. Neither did Trump to Hillary.
No, true.
And so I think this is going to, ultimately, we are in an attention economy. And the attention is going to go to the person who can connect and show up and earn the trust of voters. You don't get to earn the trust of voters in that Fox News studio in Washington, D.C.
No.
Byron Donalds is in D.C. 4 days out of a
Fuck
week.
that shit.
This is my state. I live here. My dad grew up here. My grandfather taught here. My great-grandfather ran a hotel on Fort Lauderdale Beach here. This is my home, and I'm not going to let it be stolen from anyone, least of all Byron Donalds and his donors. And so what I've already announced, Tucker, is that over the next 3 months, I'm going to visit all 67 counties. In just 5 weeks,
Nice.
I've visited 12. I'll visit every single
I think I'm
state
gonna go see
college.
him. I'm gonna go meet
And
him when he
proud to
comes
break
my
the news
county.
here, I'm doing a statewide
Uh-huh.
Waffle House tour. This is the
Nice.
staple of Florida. I'm going to every single Waffle House to meet voters where they are. They deserve
yeah.
to see a governor hands-on, to ask him questions. Heck, if they want to yell at me, debate with
That
me,
would be
that's
dope.
fine. I am never going to shy away from the people that I'm asking
You're going
to hire me.
fat.
I just get the bacon. I get a bacon and a large Coke.
Awesome.
Good call. Good call.
fucking-
I remember
yeah, that was
Jeb
a good
Bush when he
answer.
ran in 2016. I traveled with him for a while. He was going no carb, and he lost at the end, of course, in I think South Carolina. And we were in a diner together in South Carolina, and he, whatever his many faults, he could be kind of funny. And he's like, "No, I'm getting the blueberry pancakes. I don't care. It's over." And he just immediately, excuse me. So you think your money's going to come from where?
Small dollar donors.
Yeah, you're going to need it because, I mean, you haven't said a single thing that is going to attract Ken Griffin to your campaign. Fair?
I think so.
Yeah.
Look, I think that I'm always open to meeting with donors, but it's on the basic precondition that you are donating to the campaign that already exists. There's no influence on the campaign whatsoever. And I would invite people to hold my feet to the fire on that one. I think the biggest thing, though, is if you just look at what the turning point has been for Florida politics. We had an ag commissioner here in 2018 named Adam Putnam. He was the establishment darling, a very good guy.
Yeah, I remember him well.
His family's been here for a very, very long time, well-respected family here in Florida. And then this guy named Ron DeSantis comes on the scene. And there's a lot of twists and turns, but that election in 2018 was really decided by the Fox News primary debate in the summer of 2018, where it was Ron and Adam on stage for an hour and a half, unfiltered, no handlers, no donors, just 2.5 million voters watching at home. I think if you put me on that debate stage, and I'll be in this race
Sounds
all
like
the
he
way to
would
the end.
smoke
When we get to
anybody.
that debate stage, I will end Byron Donalds'
he's
career,
excellent
and I will
debater.
show that my vision for my state that I've known for
Master
4
debater.
generations, our family has known, is the right vision. I view this as a fork in the road.
It
Do you
is.
want old Florida or do you want new Florida? If you want AI data centers, if you want what Byron Donalds says,
I
which
want
is
old
he wants to make Florida the financial capital of the world, if you want that, that's the new Florida vision. But if you like our state just the way she is, if you want to go back to the way things were 10, 15 years ago, cattle, citrus,
Yes,
space,
yes.
ag, if you want to
'Cause what they're doing now, I can tell you from living here, these solar farms are going up where they're just like a couple of acres with nothing, but it's like a field of solar panels. And you know, I think these are like the precursors to like data centers and shit. You know, because we get so much sun here every day, all day basically, no clouds. And you know, they build these fucking solar farms, and I think they're like, you know, looking ahead, like, oh, we're gonna need this energy. You know, it's free energy.
the overdevelopment that has destroyed our communities, pull back the sprawl. I'm running for governor, and I'd be honored to have your vote.
You really think he's going to debate you?
I think he has to.
Really?
I think he has to.
What about this? So there's a lieutenant governor. I didn't even know he existed until I saw a clip from him that was so over the top. His name is Jay Collins, I think. It was so shocking that I sent it to someone who works here and say, is this AI? This came.
Yeah, free. We don't have free speech. Yeah. No. You have the right to hurt people's feelings. Yeah, to hurt people with your words. That's insane. Like, bro, for real though. Fuck, man. It's disgusting. So called. Yeah. Dude, that's like Orwellian and shit, man. He definitely. Now that he said he's Colombian, I see it. There's a lot of Colombians in Florida. Hmm. These bastards gotta go. I think he's right. Nah. Fucking cuck. Hmm. The fuck? Yeah. They're in the tank for him already, I'm sure. Uh-uh. Chipotle. Chipotle. The fajita bowl. No shit. That's legit. And he's into Fuentes. Oh, come on, bullshit. Huh. That's crazy. It wasn't like that when I was in school. I remember, like in elementary school, there was usually like 3 or 4 kids in my class that would be that were in ESOL because they didn't speak English, and by the end of the year they would be kind of caught up, but they had to go to another class. It's always kind of been that way in Florida. You know, Mexicans or Central Americans, South Americans, you know, they've always had a sweet spot for, or a soft spot for Florida for some reason. That's fucked. What the fuck? Uh-huh. Godspeed. Godspeed, man. Anywho, man, I was fucking watching this Victor Davis Hanson video, and they were going over something like issues that keep people up at night. And man, it blows my mind how little the boomers and like that, how little they have been paying attention for the last 60 years, how little they actually think, and how, you know, like truly, it blows my mind. Like, and you know, the whole show is like a treasure trove, a pattern. God, this he's Italian, but grosses me out. There we go. Shit. What the fuck?
Words. Victor's got a website, by the way, The Blade of Perseus, victorhanson.com. It costs $65 a year to subscribe, and you would want to do that because twice a week, Victor, ability of it. Of course, it would be catastrophic if there were rogue nukes, but how plausible is that?
Subject to deterrence, because China and Russia have a lot to lose, and they know wouldn't want to nuke us, but because they're subject to deterrence. So that a rudimentary missile system that can knock some of them down, one or two in Alaska, etc. Yeah, we're not talking about Salt Lake City. We're not talking about Bozeman, Montana. We're talking about Los Angeles, San Francisco, Minneapolis, Detroit. The same old characters. The blue city in a blue state, or a blue city like a Memphis or somewhere in a red state. And that is harder. And so I think that's the greater worry, because it's insidious, and it's not that paradigm of high taxation, lacks criminal justice system, lacks law enforcement, unsustainable pension system, overregulation, minority and ethnic tensions.
It runs the
reformulate the Roman Empire. He went into Rome in the 530s, and it had been in various things, and it's all in decline. I think that's already happened when you go.
Trust. And right now, they're extending a special dust up between two issues that will keep us awake at night. We're here dealing with the Hateful Eight on its way to the Finality 4. The next two issues are the gain-of-function pathogens as something that keeps you up at night versus the destruction of the nuclear family. Which thing is of greater concern?
Comparable. You know, like,
but on the nuclear family,
the nuclear family, that's so much more important.
You have to know what the causes of the destruction were. Part of it was that we all got more affluent and leisured, so we had more temptations for our appetites. You know, you go on the internet, you can do things you couldn't do when the nuclear family was intact. There is no more multi-generational nuclear family. People say, yes, there is, Victor. I know you guys that listen have your grandparents and your grandchildren in the same house or compound. That's great, but most people don't. And that's why rest homes proliferate. And
boomers.
And then there is the emancipation, which is great, of women. So women were able to make money, and then now, you know, they make more per capita, I think, by gender than do men.
Listen to this.
And they make the majority of graduate students in the humanities. They're clearly the majority of college students. 55% of most college campuses. And
Well,
so
that's a good
it's very
thing.
hard for the modern woman to say, I have my BA from Vassar, but I want to get married and have 3 or 4 kids and stay married.
And he's like saying this is a good thing. Like, yeah, women, they're doing really well, and why would they want to have kids? Why would they want to carry on the pass the torch? When they could just work and make widgets in a fucking office for some douchebag they don't even like. And like, instead of allowing men those jobs so they can raise families.
There's no stigma for nuclear family break. There is a greater stigma for religious observance than there is for the breakup of the nuclear family. And by that I mean, I don't just mean divorce, I mean that even within a marriage, people who don't feel their obligations of supporting. We have this deadbeat phenomenon, is what I'm getting at. It's not just males who are in the basement, but we have this phenomenon that when males get married, they don't take charge of the nuclear family in the way they used to. You know what I mean? They don't see themselves as the physical protector of the family or the primary breadwinner.
No shit. You have fucking locked them out of polite society. You do not let them have fucking primary breadwinner jobs. And this asshole is part of it. And he even said, we have emancipated women, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's like, no, that is a fucking bad thing. Because they're taking jobs, they're taking the good paying jobs, because white men are just ostracized. So these white women are getting these jobs, and they don't spread their money around. Like white men or fathers, they pay for everything. They pay for every time they go out to eat, they pick up the check. Like they say, the husband's money is the family's money. The wife's money is the wife's money. And that's how that goes. Women are selfish. They spend their money on themselves. So you give these good jobs to women, and guess what? We start dying off. They don't start families because they couldn't deign to marry down. I can't marry a guy that makes less than me. They can't deign to marry down, and so they just spend their life with cats and spending their money on bullshit, frivolous bullshit. I mean, this is really the pickle we're in, is that we've locked our would-be fathers out of the pursuit of happiness, locked them out of careers that would allow them to buy a house, start a family, provide for that family. And instead they gave it to women who don't want to do that. And it blows my mind. And then he says, "Oh, we have this deadbeat phenomenon." No shit. You have, like my brother, his woman, she makes 6 figures, and she she works from home. My brother's an electrician, did 4 years to get his electrician's license. My brother busts his fucking ass. And, no matter what, he doesn't make as much as she does. And she doesn't even leave the house. And he literally renovated they bought a house, and he doubled the value of the house in the first year, redid one of the bathrooms, completely redid the kitchen himself, everything but the cabinets, and they just had a kid. How's he supposed to take control of that? He didn't have the money to kick in on the house. She put this down payment down, but it's not his fault. He couldn't get a job doing anything, but he also had some health issues. But once those were over, he immediately got his his journeyman's electrician card, and that's the best you can do. That's the best you can do, is get some blue collar trade, go to school for it. That's the best you can do. Whereas, and his woman, she's Cuban, so she's a DEI hire. She gets paid buku money. They send her all over the world on vacations and shit. He's been to Mauritius, Dubai, Spain, all over the fucking place on their company dime. Fucking Cuban cigars, smoking $1,000 in cigars on the company in one night. It's just, and this guy's, we have a deadbeat father problem. No. What we have is a societal problem of literally locking our American men, locking them out of polite society, locking them out of the pursuit of happiness. what is America here to? Who is America here to serve? Is it here to serve every other peoples around the world, or is it here to serve American fucking men who are fucking white? They're white. You know, there's 13% of black people, but American men, more or less by definition, are typically white, and they have just fucking declared all-out war on us. And they're it's obviously premeditated. You know, the birth rates decline, but then you have people like these guys who aren't actually thinking. They're not thinking. They're just. It's like they don't think deeply about this shit. This guy Victor Davis Hanson, he's supposed to be some sort of a sage. He's looking at this shit surface level. Oh, you know, we have these deadbeat men. You know, these deadbeat men, and they don't want to work. You know, they don't want to work. They just want to sit on the couch. Really, man, because those fucking men built this country for 250 years. Why on earth would they just one day decide that to just relinquish their honored place in society? You fucking asshole. It's like, dude, do you really think that people are choosing this? They're being forced into it. Men want children. They want wives. They want families. They want to provide. They want to be a father. And they're not being allowed that opportunity. And then you have shitheel academics like this guy fucking talking shit about him as if they chose this. I don't know what it is. Because their wives can leave them and take everything. It's not about rap music. If it was rap music, then why does white people listen to rap music and they're not committing 50% of the crimes or the violent crimes? So it's not the fucking rap music, dude. You're an idiot. This is a stupid ass fucking straw man. These arguments have been debunked. Rap music is not the problem. If it was the fucking problem, if the music and the media we were imbibing was the problem, you would see it across the board, not just in 13%, okay? So it goes deeper than that. And this kind of shoddy, this guy is supposed to be like the right wing, say, you know, the guy that we go to read the tea leaves. Man, and it's like he stopped using his brain a few years ago. He's just an old fucking boomer who is like, you know, I've got my priors, you know, I know what I know it's the cause of everything. It's the same thing that it's been the last, you know, it's like he hasn't used his brain since they came up with these fucking ideas and arguments in the 80s. Like, dude. Who goes to see movies? God damn it. I forgot about this part. He just kind of gets off on a tangent here. I'm trying to find the other part where he gets into the social issues. Jesus. Jesus. Fucking god damn, man. This guy's telling these fucking family stories. Here we go. Yeah. Listen to this shit. If you were an extremist, you can do it. Guess who's doing it right now? Israel. Israel's doing it right now. And he just said, if you were an extremist, you could wage a war and win against Muslims. Well, your fucking bun buddies are literally doing that right now. I mean, this is how, like, like the lack of self-awareness here is just ridiculous. Oh, you would have to be an extremist to declare war on Islam. Well, dude, your fucking donors have done this. They say Muslims are fucking subhuman and shit. Mm. Prolonged adolescence. Huh. These guys are so lost. When you were in school, school was actually they taught you shit. School now is bullshit. It's stupid. It's bullshit. They don't teach you a damn thing. They don't teach you a damn thing. And they're talking. Oh, this delayed adolescence or prolonged adolescence. You know, when human beings, when life gets better and you're not forced to grow up faster. You're not forced to be a grown up at 18. It's you're going to take longer to grow up, and that's not a bad thing. The longer your childhood, more or less, or your adolescence, the statistically the longer you'll live. But not only that, we're not living in the 50s anymore, dude. We're not living in the 50s anymore. Like, what? It's like they think that we're still in their fucking childhood or their young adulthood, and that everybody should be doing what they were doing. Like, bro, don't you see AI is about to destroy all the jobs? So why the fuck would anybody be going to college and getting a degree when we don't even know if those jobs are going to be there next year? Like, it's like they just don't think anymore. And it blows my mind because they're acting as though this is, we're 40 years back, and that, because, right, back then, things, it was like a plateau, things were the same as they were the decade before, same as the decade before that. You knew what you were supposed to do. You're supposed to go to school, maybe college, get married, have kids, work. You can't do that now. That's not possible, really. Because, first of all, women are working, and not only that, a lot of jobs are disappearing. The technology is so rapidly developing. AI is such a big deal. We're in like a holding pattern right now. Like, just trying to get by until things settle down and people can pick out the best careers and stuff. But as it is right now, it's like, dude, they're not hiring people right now. They're replacing. Like, what they're doing is when they do need labor, they don't hire somebody. They get AI. So they're just not hiring right now. They're not firing people, but they're not hiring anybody either. Because when anybody retires, when anybody, when a job is no longer needed or whatever, they just replace them with AI. So industry and businesses right now, they're not looking for labor. They're not looking for manpower. They're replacing that shit. They have new gadgets, new toys and shit to tinker with. They're not hiring people. And these fucking idiots, it's like they think, that they're stuck in an older time, and they think things are as simple as they were when they were younger. And you just went to school, got married at 23, and did your thing. It's not like that anymore. It's not like that at all anymore. Women are going to school. They don't want to get married at 19. They don't want to get married at 20. They don't want to get married at 25. They want to wait till they're 28 or 30. So it's like, dude, you can talk shit about men all you want and say they need to get up off the couch. And most likely they are up off the couch. But it doesn't matter, because it takes two to tango. The women want to slut around. They think they fear of missing out. They would be suckers to get married young. I mean, these guys, the boomers, they need to disappear, man, because their fastball is no good anymore. Yeah, and only a small percentage of people went to college back then. So there was plenty of seats in college, and then not only that, there were plenty of jobs when you got out. But in the 80s, they convinced everybody you should go to college. They told everybody to go to college, whether they could do it or not. In years past, they would have had people go through trade schools, become electricians, this, that, and the third. Well, since the 80s, they've been telling everybody to go to college. So now you have to have a master's. It's like, dude, are you just not even paying attention? Are you not even trying anymore to be on point? And like going to school, going to college, that's dumb. It's a waste of money. You go and you go to college, and you come out of it worse off than when you went into it. Wang F, bet your ass. Yeah, I think his next episode is on Monday. But it just, these motherfuckers are pissing me off. It's like they're taunting us. They showed him propaganda. Why would you teach people to write a check when we have debit cards, you fucking idiot? Yep. Yep. Nigga going hard as fuck, bro. White ass nigga going hard as fuck, man. You already know. Can you believe that's crazy? He talked like Elmer Fudd. That's crazy. No, you do not have a Chevy. Yes. Back then, America felt that it had a duty to make Americans out of people. If you moved here, they were going to make a fucking American out of you. They were going to make an American out of you, whether you liked it or not. Now they want to make Mexicans out of us. They don't want to make Americans anymore. They want to make Americans into foreigners is what they want. It's like, man, and they wonder why the worm is turning and why they're fixing to get their comeuppance. that stupid ass Nightbot. I tried getting rid of it. That's great. I mean, I can't even believe that they're actually talking about this as if this is relevant. Dude, the world has changed, man. Don't you get that? It's like they like change. It's not good or bad. It's just change, and they refuse to wake up and smell the coffee. Yo, Gen Z and the millennials, like we're in the thick of it. So obviously we know things have changed. It's like they just refuse to see it. They're doing so well. They're in their ivory towers and they're just like, no, we're just gonna ignore. Ostrich head in the sand. Hmm. A hell of a lot worse. It's disgusting, man. These leftists. They're garbage. They're pieces of shit. They don't care about our Americans. They don't care about teaching. They just care about their fucking money. What the fuck is going on? Jesus. These people have never produced a thing in their life. They've never worked in the fucking private sector. It's insane. Fuck the teachers. This is the one. This is the good one. Oh my god, I hate when I talk about shit like. Come on, man. Must be nice, man. Must have been a great fucking life. Because we don't have those fucking opportunities to get to drive around Greece all summer. Dick face. God damn it, I wanted it. The problem with this is they're treating everybody but American men with respect and honor. It's like they're treating every peoples on the planet, every other country on the planet gets all this fucking their due propers. They get, their qualifiers. Oh, we don't want to offend anybody. We don't want to offend anybody except the white guys in America. Fuck them. You know, the white guys in Europe and America, they can burn in hell. I mean, it's like, dude, do you even fucking hear yourself, man? Like, oh, we need to worry about everybody else. We need to, be nice to everybody else. What about our people? What about, the generations of men right now that have been denied the pursuit of happiness? That's a good point, actually. Right? If you're just a shitty people, your democracy is going to look like shit and it's not going to work, and you have nobody to blame but yourselves. The proof is in the pudding. You can't just blame some leader or a dictator. And I just thought that was kind of an interesting point. They voted for it. They're being betrayed by their fucking government. No. Man, that is fucked up. God damn it. And I just kind of wanted to touch on some things. Like, things are kind of rough right now, but I think, to my mind, I think the worm is starting to turn. Things are going to get better. We're in a holding pattern right now. There's a lot of change going on. The whole liberal world order paradigm from, after World War II and, with Ronald Reagan, that shit's dead. Finally, we woke up. That shit is dead. It's dead. The colorblind shit, it's dead. And, and we're readjusting. We're fixing to get all these people out of our country. But to me, I'm starting to see events and the way things are colored, the way people are behaving about things. Things are changing. The mood of the country is changing. The mood of the people is changing. And like this, the Minnesota stuff. Like the way that woman that got shot, how it just, nobody really cared. It's like, well, she got what she deserved. Yeah, society is it's recovering. It's resetting. It's going back to factory reset. Hey, women, you have no business in politics. You have no business getting in a police officer's face and screaming at him and behaving in a way that if it were a man doing that, he would be shot on the spot. That woman that got shot, they would have shot my ass, but they would have not even have walked up. They would have shot my ass, but they from 20 feet away. And women, they're just, they're used to having this special hide that everybody, like giving them this outsized authority. These Karens, these fucking middle-aged white women, they getting over their skis. Their head was getting big, and and they start behaving as though they're an authority, a moral authority, and that they have the right to tell men how things should be. Screaming at men and this and that. Well, that woman got shot in the face. She died right then and there. And we've already pretty much moved on. Everybody is tired of these women. They need to get the hell. They need to go back to. And another thing too, I seen that Brett Cooper. She did a thing on Grok AI and how they're doing. Like, I guess you can tell Grok to make women naked, and it'll make the picture of a woman naked. Of that woman. It'll make her. It'll think it up. And all these women are clutching their pearls, freaking out, crying that people are doing this, and that. And to me, I pointed this out. I was like, what this looks like to me, that. If you can't stand the heat, get back in the kitchen, sweetheart. It's only going to get worse from here. If they think that somehow they're going to get AI under control and they're going to get this under control and their feelings are going to be spared, they're mistaken. Technology isn't going to wait. It's going to keep going at rip-roaring pace. And I see this as women being rightfully put back in their place. Like, hey, and this last 80 years, this is the extreme anomaly. There isn't an era of human existence in the 20,000 years or million years or whatever where women have had, where it's been like this. There is no era to compare it to. And it was a little experiment. It wasn't fun. It turned out awful. And it's time to get back to factory settings because we were doing awesome until these stupid bitches got the right to vote. We were doing awesome. We won World War II. And I don't really care if they want to work, go ahead, go and work. But they can't be the main people that our country serves because they've proven that they don't spend their money. They don't do the things that men do when they have a living. Men get married, settle down, raise a family, and benevolently provide for that family. Women don't do that. They don't do that. They've proven they don't do that. They just won't have kids. They just straight up won't have kids. So we can't focus on them anymore. We will die if we focus on giving women good livings and shit, because they just sit around with their cats and they sit around with their fucking cats and spend their money on clothes and shit. Whereas men, they spend all their money on their family. And so they can't be the focus anymore. And in the politics thing, it's a man's sport more or less. And they want special privileges. They want to be able to treat cops, men, politicians in any way that they see fit with no accountability, no responsibility, no consequences. Do you see how they freaked out about that woman getting shot? If that had been a man, nobody would have freaked out about that. Those women would have literally said that guy got what he asked for that. Just like, remember Ashley Babbitt in January 6th? She asked for that, remember? When there was Republicans in the Capitol, they had no fucking sympathy. A cop shot and killed an American citizen, a veteran too. And the same thing happens the other day for a woman trying to run a cop over, and they scream bloody murder. Oh, our cops killed an American citizen. Yeah, well, where were you? You weren't saying that. You weren't saying that for Ashley Babbitt, like straight up. And so they want special privileges, and it's not happening anymore. People are done with it. They need to shut the hell up. It's like, unless you're willing to. If you want to act like a man, you're going to get treated like a man. You're going to get manhandled like a man. And this last year, like her getting shot, to me was a good sign. I mean, it's sad, but it's a good sign. And the fact that nobody made any qualms about it, nobody apologized. Trump didn't come out and apologize. Nobody apologized. And what that to me is, that's just our society saying, hey, ladies, if you behave like this, we're not going to mourn your loss. We're not going to mourn it. If you carry on this way, we don't see value in you, and we don't care if this happens to you. You know, we're like, and men in society has always been willing to protect women, but when they want to get belligerent like this and behave like men, it's like, hey, you're taking your own life in your hands. Whatever happens, it's a suicide by cop. Oh well, women are going to get the picture. They're going to get the picture. They saw what happened to that woman, and they said, ooh, you know, I thought I had a special place in society. Like, apparently not, you know. Like, I guarantee you women are going to be thinking twice about ambushing ICE from now on. Guaranteed. And this is what I'm talking about. The worm is turning. Society is it's correcting. Hey, ladies, you can't do this. We're not going to stand behind you if you do this. You know, this is unlady. I tried to imagine my grandmother behaving like that, and I was thinking, like, man, my grandmother must think this is like another fucking universe, because she would never, I mean, she's so meek, and I mean, just never do something like this. And for these women to get so belligerent like this, and then expect the whole country to like riot because they got their due consequences, it's like, this is reality. There are consequences to it. You cannot just go around like assaulting cops. And not only that, those cops are deporting these criminals and these people that we asked them to deport. And these women are trying to stop them. It's like, you're not going to get any sympathy out of us. Sorry. And I think I said this the other day, but you know, they're like, since they've had the vote, they've been like deliberately voting for shit that will destroy our people and our country. And they just continuously vote for this shit over and over. And if this country dissolves, if we as a people die off, are they going to blame those women for voting for it? Honestly. Would you blame women of a society for that society's collapse? Or would you blame the men for letting them do it? You would blame the men, and the women blame us too. You know, when a woman, when she asks for the freedom, and then when she fucks up, she says, well, why did you let me? Why did you let me? You know, you're the man, you're supposed to blah 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 blah. That's how they behave. So to my mind, they're being put back in their place for everyone's good. Because they're killing us. They're killing our country, they're killing our people. And they're letting us die. They're not having kids. They're being put back in their place because that's where they belong. And it's finally things are correcting. To me, that's what I see. I mean, that the woman getting shot and several other things in the last few weeks. It's just, we're finally getting serious again as a people and as a country. America is finally getting serious. You know, China doesn't do this bullshit. You know, they're serious. You know, they don't like pretend things like ideologically don't exist. Like, you know, like we do here. You know, people put their head in the sand. If it doesn't match their ideology, they just, you know, like trans women are women, they don't do that shit in China. But we've allowed women to just run rampant and basically like halfway kill our country. And we have to do something about it. They must be brought to heel. And they are, thank God, they are being brought to heel by, you know, society. I mean, just the natural, the natural order of things, you know, osmosis of things. They're being put in their place. Like ambushing ICE, you know, and that woman, the other woman that was screaming there, she said, you know, that woman she went there specifically to block that road, and she was doing exactly what she was aiming to do. And yeah, she died because of it. And I almost feel like feel bad, like JD Vance said, is she's propagandized, but that woman asked for it, and it's not playtime anymore. It's not playtime anymore. We don't have the luxury to humor these women like children, to let them throw their tantrums and shit. We don't have that luxury anymore. And the fact that a mother and a wife showed up to an ICE raid to to obstruct them, man, whoa, were her priorities out of whack. Like, what in the fuck? What is going on in America where women are rather than being at home with their kids or taking care of their family, they're out obstructing the police and like causing riots and shit. It's just like they've got to be put back in their place, and men need to be given their honorable, rightful place as the head of households, as the providers. They must be given this stuff back. And honestly, it's most likely it's too late for me. I'm kind of getting old, so it's like I'm not even like, because I people that, oh, you're the victim, you're such a poor victim, poor white man. It's like, honestly, I'm not even doing this for me. It's kind of over for me. I'm doing it for posterity, my country that I love, and so that other men don't go through the same stuff that I've had to go through. And so I'm not really even advocating this way to get anything for myself, like, because it's kind of too late for that. But we need to start focusing on white American men again, because you know what, Mexico, they have their own country, they have their own adults focusing on their boys and their girls. They have their own communities focusing on them. The white boys, they're basically being shoved out into the world, radical, social welfare and subsidization for everyone except for white men, radical individualism for you. Get out there and make your way, guys. You better be an entrepreneur, because you're not going to be able to get hired anywhere. You better be good at business. Straight up. And that's why our birth rate just fell off a cliff, because they've cut us out of the equation pretty much. Like that article that came out like a couple weeks ago about white men being kicked out of all the industries. They were 50% of the writers in the writing rooms of Hollywood. They're 11% today. We're half the country. They're writing those stories and movies for us. We're the ones that pay for them. But they won't let us write them. They won't let us tell the stories. They won't let us think up the stories. They'll let us buy the stories, of course, but they won't let us tell stories to our own fucking people. It's like, this shit's got to change, man. If they think that America is going to continue along these lines, they've got another thing coming. Because as far as I'm concerned, the first guy that goes out into the street with an American flag, like Nicholas J., if he gets out there with an American flag and says, "This is it, boys," dude, I'm putting my fucking work boots on and I'm going to work. I'm going to work, man. And you know what I'm saying by that. As soon as he say, "This is it, boys, let's ride," that's it, man. There are going to be generations of men, and we're either going to burn it down or we're going to take it back. There's no two ways about it. This is our fucking country. We're the majority. We're the majority men. If we're not being served by this country, by our own country that we pay the majority of taxes to, if we're not being served by it, then fuck it. Then nobody can have it, as far as I'm concerned. Why would I let Indians have this place that my fucking ancestors built for me? That this great place that the Indians can't build themselves. Why would I allow them to have it? If I can't have it, they can't have it. That's that's it, man. I'm willing to die for that shit too. I'm not even joking. I'm willing to fucking die for it. Because to be honest with you, it's you know, I can't imagine like living to 80. It's gonna be tough, man. I don't even know if I'll be able to make it, dude. That's a lot. That's a long time. I remember when I was younger and I used to think like, oh, so scared of death, and now I'm thinking, fuck, man, infinite like immortality. That scares me. Whoa. Excuse me. That scares me. Immortality. That is a scary thought. That I would have to endure this shit forever. Fuck you. No way. No fucking way. Like 80, that like I don't really want to live beyond 80, to be honest with you. Like, no way, man. Life is hard. And I like the challenge, don't get me wrong, but it's like, you know, it's like it's not that great, you know. It's great, you know, because we only do it once, you know what I'm saying? But it's ups and downs. When you're up, you have nowhere to go but down. When you're down, you have nowhere to go but up. It's tough, and it takes a lot out of you, you know. And like my entire generation, almost all of them died from opiate overdoses. I'm the only one out of my entire friend group from high school that didn't die. And there's a reason why so many of us, so many men, we you know, the suicide rate's so high. They're dying from overdoses because they've made life infinitely harder than it already was. You know, like my dad doesn't even have a fucking high school diploma, and he's literally the boss of fucking dudes with master's degrees. You know, he's basically an engineer, or a draftsman, but he's been doing it since the 80s. No high school diploma. He's just a great artist. And like my parents like just stumbled into, they had like I was talking to my mom about this and being like, you know, it's not the same as when you guys were in your 20s. And she's like, well, what we didn't have anything. What are you talking about? I'm like, you had a fucking family and a house. Like the shit that you take for granted. You fucking, I mean, it kind of pissed me off. I was like, it took her aback. She could, like, it didn't even occur to her that we've been, I have two brothers. We've pretty much all been denied that. And it's like, didn't even occur to them. I'm like, you know, you and Dad, you fucking had it easy. My dad doesn't even have a high school diploma, you know, and he literally is like the second in command at a company, you know, over guys with master degrees in engineering, you know, because he's a better engineer than they are and he has more experience. But back then, you got out of high school, you could go get you a good job and support a family. Not no more. Not anymore, man. It ain't like that anymore. And like they didn't even try. And what was funny, I was talking to my mom about this, and I didn't like start arguing, or like I didn't spring the trap. She was talking. She was like, "Yeah, we didn't even like try. You know, we ended up with a house, and you know, like we didn't even try." And then when I started arguing with her about it, she wanted to pretend like they worked hard for it and this. Then I said, "What the fuck are you talking about? You just said 20 minutes ago how you guys weren't even trying. Like, you don't have a college degree. Dad doesn't even have a fucking high school diploma. Like, dude, shut the fuck up. Quit acting like you had it harder than we have it. Fuck off, you know? Like, it's just ridiculous." And I mean, anybody who doesn't see the writing on the wall, things are they're fixing to change here shortly, man. They are. People they see what's happening. We're getting royally fucked. And then you see in Minnesota, man, look here, man. It's fixing to go down. These people are they're going home, whether they like it or not. Women, they're going to get back. They're not going to be the primary breadwinners. They're not going to be the majority. I mean, the going to school thing, I could give two shits about it, because, you know, honestly, school it's a negative. You go in and you come out worse off than when you went in. You literally come out in debt with a worthless degree. Tell me how that makes any fucking sense. And it's funny, women, they gloat about the fact that, ooh, there are more of us going to school. We're more educated than you guys. And it's like, you know, they don't realize that women are always late to the show. They're not leaders. They're never leaders. You know, women don't invent anything. They don't design. You know, they're not the cutting edge. Men are the cutting edge. They're not leaders. They don't see the next frontier. You know, when I remember when video games was a nerdy male thing. That was a nerdy man thing. Now women play video games. Yeah, that's because people are, you know, when women get into something, that's the death of it. Like all these women directors right now, that's because movies are dying. Women show up to the party late. And the fact that it's mostly women in college, that just proves that college is worthless, that men do not see value in it anymore, whereas women still see value in a stupid piece of paper, and then they're all pissed off that they owe money and this and that and the third. Men are too fucking crafty, too foxy. They seen this shit was a damn scam 20, 30 years ago. Women are still under the illusion that it's that they're winning somehow. It's like you're not winning. College just isn't worth a fuck anymore. Like, yeah, you are more than half of the enrollees and this and that and the third, but that's because there's no value in it anymore. If there was value in going to college, they would not, more men would be in college. But the fact of the matter is, you don't learn life skills. They take your money and put you into debt. Men now don't see that as profitable. They see, you know what, I may as well just start my life now, start trying to figure out what it is I'm going to do. You know, that's more profitable than going to college. And you know, I could have gone to college. My grandfather was going to pay for it. And I did like 2 semesters, and I said, I can't do this, Grandpa. I feel too guilty that I'm wasting your money. This isn't the same like when you were younger. Like it's not worth a shit anymore. And I straight up, I only did two semesters, and I walked. I said, no, I'm done. I'm not doing this. This is dumb. And, you know, and like I said, you know, the fact that women make up the bulk of the people in college just goes to prove that college isn't worth a fuck anymore, because men are the ones that see the value in shit. You know, like I said, with video games and stuff and AI, no women are out in AI. It's all men. Women are just now breaking into video games because video games are dying. They're old. They're old news. And when they were cutting edge, there was a nerd stigma, a loser stigma attached to video games. And then once women started playing it, men started leaving. Like, this is gay, you know, like the Gamergate and stuff. And that's what I'm saying is, and people, they're so black-pilled. It's like, you know, we've survived here for millions of years, or thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years. We survive, man. We adapt. We survive. We will adapt. We will survive. Right now, we're in a period of instability and change. We're trying to get our bearings. We're in a holding pattern. Things look rough, but when things start leveling out, they will get better. You know, the birth rate will bounce back. I mean, I can see it happening now, you know, already. That things are getting back to how they were, you know, 80 years ago. They may not go back completely, but they're going back. You know, society is correcting. And like I said, we adapt, we survive, and men are adapting, surviving. They're not going to college anymore. There's a reason for that. Because it's not wise, it's not profitable. Men are out, they're too busy trying to figure out the next frontier, the next big thing, you know, the next lick. They're too busy out looking for the money, looking for the way to get ahead, the way to get a family and a home and this and that and the third. That, you know, that's what men are busy doing. While women are busy slutting it up in college, men are busy stacking money, you know, getting their affairs in order. And I'm kind of, I don't want to say I'm white pilled, but I think there's reason to be positive. Like, you know, what's going on right now bodes well for us. These Somalians, you know, and there's a reason why they, you know, this stuff just blew up. You know, it bodes well for us. The worm is turning. All of a sudden, these immigrant people, they're showing their ass and talking shit on TikTok, like rubbing it in. Liberals don't like that. You know, they don't like that. And these foreigners, they're losing their advocacy from the liberals. And once they lose, even if they lose like 10% of the liberal advocacy, those people are fucking out of here. They're out of here. We will trail of tears their asses. We will march their fucking asses to the border. You know, like I've been saying, you know, we're only limited by our own conscience. There is no fucking higher order that can scold us and say, how dare you deport those people back to their home countries? How dare you? How evil of you? How racist of you? Because who gives a shit what they think? This is our country. We decide what happens. We decide who lives here. And nobody consulted us when they threw that border open. So we are under no obligation. None whatsoever. There was no deal cut with these people. They didn't even get visas and shit, most of them. So it's like, yo, we're under no obligation. We're under no contract. We're not honoring any. There's no contract to honor. When we say you got to go, you know, it's that simple. We don't owe you shit. You know, we don't owe you a life in our country. We don't owe you a slice of our prosperity. We don't. And I think, you know, and honestly, it's because that they have ostracized the biggest and majority demographic out of polite society. That's why the worm is turning, you know. And as soon as the boomers go, you know, as soon as they pass on, things are going to start popping. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's that simple. You know, they have motivated the most intelligent, the most diligent, hardworking, goal-oriented part of America. They have motivated them to get shit done. And the leftists, they have shown their ass with all this fraud and stuff. People aren't with all the welfare and shit anymore. All this helicopter money, they just fucking blew out the deficit and gave all this money away. The chickens are coming home to roost, dudes. The chickens are coming home to roost. I guarantee it, man. I can see the writing on the wall. I mean, I'm watching it unfold, man. That woman getting shot, these Somalians. Bro, these people are fixing to get shipped the fuck out, man. I mean, I'm telling you, man. And Trump, they're ceding the ground. I don't know if they have the stones to do it or if they're going to be able to do it, but they're ceding the ground right now. You know, the way they're talking about Greenland and this, and I don't agree with them on everything, but we're going in the right direction, boys. We're going in the right direction, and nobody's going to be able to stop us. Who could stop us? You know, we're like 30% of the population. You know, 50% of the population's female, so there's only another 20% that are male. They're gone, man. They're fucking gone. I mean, other than the 13% that, you know, the blacks that have been here for 400 years. But these people, they don't realize that they're on fucking borrowed time. This isn't their country. They came from other countries. They got to go back to those countries. Because you know what? If America collapsed, do you think that they would stick it out and suffer here with us? Fuck no. They'd go right back to India. As soon as the gravy stopped flowing, they would go home. They would go home. Therefore, they gotta go home. It's that simple. You know, if you're just here to fucking loot and pillage, and really, I don't even care if they are just here to loot and pillage. They all gotta go. They gotta go. We don't have the room anymore. Yeah, we don't have the luxury to let them stay here, and they're gonna have to go home. It's like, yo, you know, I'm sorry that, you know, 1.5 billion Indians, you know, can't make an America themselves, but tough tit, man. Sorry. We don't owe you anything. You're a citizen of another country. Does India owe me a fucking living? No. And they wouldn't give me one if I asked for it. But, things are going in the right direction. And, we're disgruntled. We've had a fucking jackboot on our windpipes for, pretty much my whole life, man, since, 2000 or 2008, since Obama got elected. I mean, I turned 18 when Obama got elected, so it was like my entire fucking adult life has been like this, man. I've never been given an opportunity that was worth a shit. I mean, honestly, it's crazy. And we're who's going to stop us? And there's a good portion of women that agree with us. You guys watch Nick's shows with me. You see how all the boomer grandmothers and shit that are always super chatting? Bro, and where men lead, women follow inevitably. Women are not, like I said, they're not leaders. They don't decide where they're going to go. We decide where we're going, and they tag along. So, if the order of the day is to get these fucking people out of our country and get our country squared away, get our culture squared away, our society, our social situation squared away, so that we're inhabiting our correct and honorable place in society as the heads of households, as producers, as responsible adults, responsible men. That's possible. That is a dream that can come true. That is a dream that can come true. And if we cut off the welfare, most of these people are going to go home. They're only here for the free shit. If we cut off, if we just stop giving out money, if we stop giving out our tax dollars, these people ain't going to stick around. Those Somalians aren't here to work. They're not here to work. Have you seen any of those people doing any work? I haven't. Sure as shit haven't. They ain't digging ditches. They're not digging ditches. Yeah, how many all these videos I've seen of these Somalians, how many of them are women running these stupid daycares and shit? They're here to suckle on the teat, benefit, get their family raised up, get their generation out the door, and enjoy themselves. And once we cut the benefits off, they'll go home. You hear them talk about Somalia. They don't think they're Americans. They love Somalia. They're only here to loot and pillage for Somalia. So as soon as the money dries up, they're going to go back home. They're not going to want to work for a living. And that's as it should be. America for like the first 200 years, it was like an 80% fucking attrition rate for immigrants. 80% went back home. They immigrated here, tried to make a go of it. It didn't work out. 80% of them went back and said, fuck this. I'm going back home. This is just too much. And that, really, that's kind of why America's exceptional, because only the best of the best stayed. And only the people that wanted a better life actually took the journey. And, that has its effects, downstream. It's that simple. But, I've just been kind of ranting here because I'm just kind of pleased to see that things are finally, they seem to be going in the right direction. Like I said, with that woman that got shot, there wasn't a big apology session, kowtowing. Oh, we're so sorry. Oh, we're going to stop doing the ICE raids. No. Fucking full steam ahead. That bodes well for us, I think. That bodes well for us. And, who can stop us? Who can stop us? The boomers can stop us at the moment because they have the power and the money, because they robbed us. They robbed the future generations. But they're on their way out, man. Here in the next decade or so, we're going to have the reins. And we're going to use them. We're going to use them. Rest assured. We will be ameliorated. We will be replenished. But anyway, I've gone on long enough. I've said all I've had to say. I don't really can't think of anything else. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. There's always them same two guys on Twitch and Kick and what's his name, Jay. But yeah, I think Monday, I think the 12th, Nick is doing his stream. So at the very least, that I'll be doing a stream on that day. I may do some more in between then and now, but until then, I hope y'all